Hey friend, this is the Traveling Wellnesspreneur podcast, and I'm your host, Allie Temple. I travel full-time running my dream wellness biz from the tropics, and I want to share with you how you can create a lifestyle of freedom and purpose too. Stay tuned for inspiring and fun conversations that will empower you to take action towards your dream lifestyle of travel and freedom. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Traveling Wellnesspreneur podcast. This week I am chatting with Amberley Yee. Amberley is a fellow travel-loving entrepreneur, and she has some hot tips for us around branding and website design for a more profitable biz. Amberley is also going to share with us some stories about her travels while growing her biz over the last couple of years. Amberley Yee, CEO and founder of Rise and Design Studio, combines strategic design expertise with a background in revenue management to craft high-converting brands and websites for wellness providers. I'm excited for you to hear this one and get some sweet tips from Amberley around dialing in your branding and your website to grow your business. So be sure to check out the show notes to get in touch with Amberley after the episode. Enjoy this convo, and I'll see you in the Traveling Wellnesspreneurs Facebook group. Welcome to the podcast, Amberley. Thanks so much for joining us. Do you want to start off by just letting us know where in the world are you joining us from today?
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. I am in Auckland, New Zealand. I have just returned home after traveling the world for 2 years. I went through Asia for 9 months, and then we bought a car in London. We traveled through the UK for 4 to 5 months, and then we took the ferry from London to France. Traveled Europe, went all around Europe, all the way to Serbia, all the way around 3 months. Unfortunately, our visa was only available for 3 months. So It was quite rushed, but it was amazing. And running my business at the same time, which was incredible.
Awesome. So I have a lot of questions for you about all of that. So you were traveling for, how long were you actually on the road for then? Did you say 9 months?
Altogether, it was a year and a half.
Nice. So when you started traveling, I definitely want to hear about your business, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but I love to hear the travel stories. So when you started traveling, I'm always curious to hear, what was the initial motivation to start traveling, and how did you decide on where you wanted to go first?
Basically, before I can remember, always, my dream has always been to own a business and be able to travel with it. But I've just never found what kind of work I could do in order to fulfill that dream. And I actually have a diploma in hospitality. So I studied hospitality. And since I got my diploma, I've been traveling ever since. So I have lived in Australia for 2 years, London for 2 years, over in Queenstown for 2 years. And at that time, I was in jobs in hospitality, but every time I would leave a place, I would have to leave my job and find something else, which wasn't sustainable. So the real motivation for me was to build something for myself that is sustainable and I can travel with it whenever I want. And the places that I chose to go to, I first started with Asia. And the main reason was because it's cheap to live there. Much cheaper than New Zealand. I was kind of just starting my business at that time. And I was like, well, okay, if I live in Asia, I'm not going to have as many expenses. It's cheaper to live. So it takes the pressure off my business succeeding and just giving me time to grow my business. So I started there for 9 months, and once I got momentum going, I headed back over to the UK and Europe, where I had lived previously, just to catch up with friends and explore places that I hadn't gone before.
Yeah, I do love that about Asia. I've spent a good amount of time there too, and especially when I was just starting to grow my business, because you can live so comfortably for so little. And I think that that's such a great step for those beginning thing. And it sounds like similar to myself. Like when I left, I started growing my business and traveling like at the same time, all the
Hmm.
things. So, yeah, it's good to be in places where you can still take care of yourself and
Yeah,
live on a simple budget and really put into your business to help it grow. And what part of Asia were you in
definitely.
for that 9 months?
We traveled around, so basically all of Southeast Asia,
Nice.
mainly Sri Lanka and
Oh, cool.
Malaysia.
What did you love the most about Sri Lanka?
The surf,
Okay. Yeah.
definitely. It just screams wellness. There's so many yoga places. Everyone
Mhm.
actually I met there was a yoga teacher, Pilates teacher, PT, surf instructor. So I met so many amazing people that I could connect with there as well.
Yeah, I haven't been there actually, but yeah, I've heard
I
such great
definitely
things.
recommend. Yeah.
Cool. Did you grow up surfing or was that one of your first introductions?
I learned like a few years ago. I've been trying to
Okay.
learn, but the surf in New Zealand, I would have to drive like an hour after work to get
Mhm.
there. So I don't do it regularly. So I wasn't improving. But as soon as I went to Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
I improved so much. So definitely the place to go.
Ah, that's a hot tip. I like it. You started growing your business in Asia, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? And I know that you're a brand and website designer for wellness
Hmm.
experts. Do you want to share a little bit about your business and why did you choose to do this specific business?
Yeah, I'm a brand and website designer for female wellness entrepreneurs. And I specifically chose women in the health and wellness space because I love helping women who love helping other people. I was an ex competitive gymnast and trampolinist years
Mm.
ago, and I've always kept up with being healthy and things. So I just feel like I align mostly with women in the wellness space. And after my hospitality diploma, I worked my way up into revenue management. So
Oh,
that was basically the main goal of revenue management is to maximize profits for these luxury hotels. And that is analyzing data and just trying to come up with new innovative ideas to make more money, basically. And so now I use that knowledge, that analysis in my branding and website strategy and apply it to that. So it's not just about, having a pretty looking brand and website. It's about the strategy behind it and actually trying to get clients to convert through your website and raise your prices and book more so that, yeah, you can live the life that you want to as well.
awesome. So let's break that down a little bit. I'd love to hear from you because the listeners here are entrepreneurs that are traveling, but building their businesses. And when you talk about website strategy, I'd love to hear why that is such an
Mm-hmm.
important piece.
Good question. So, website strategy is kind of taking a step back and asking yourself, why do you actually have this website? Most people think it's just like so you can have an online presence and it's somewhere to sell your services, sell your products, but it's actually a lot more than that. I kind of like to compare it to like a road trip. Like if you go on a road trip and forget your phone and forget your map, you're going to take wrong turns and you're going to get confused, get lost. And that's exactly what people are going to feel when they land on your website and it's not strategically built. They're just going to get confused. You may look unprofessional. And if they can't find what they are looking for easily and you don't make it extremely easy for them, then attention spans are short, right? So they're just going to leave and find someone else that does make it easy for them. So it's really about using your website as a tool to help you book more clients and save you time with marketing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And a lot of the yoga teachers and wellness entrepreneurs that I work with who are just beginning to start their businesses, I think that clarity is a really important piece and being really clear on
Mm-hmm.
who you're serving and what problem you're solving. And
Yeah.
just like with the website, having that clarity on what you're offering. And yeah, like you said, making it really easy for people because there is so much competition out there, and we need to stand out and
Yeah.
be, yeah, really clear on how we can help people. So that's a really important
Hmm.
piece. I know you also probably have some tips on how to actually position yourself as a high-end service so that you can make a more
Hmm.
sustainable living as a wellness entrepreneur. And this is something that I work on with my clients as well, because especially I find the yoga teachers and the healers, those of us who are here to help others and to heal others, sometimes there's a stigma around charging our worth and
Hmm.
higher ticket offerings and actually offering something that balances out all of the work and dedication that we put into creating these offerings. If you were to give us any tips on that when it comes to your website, what would you say to pay attention to or to focus on if someone wants to start charging more and creating a more
Hmm.
sustainable business for themselves?
Which they absolutely can, because people in the wellness space, they have the power to change lives, right? They have the power to transform lives and make people happier, healthier. So it is important to get that across in your website. And a few tips I have on that is one, it would be like consistent branding, having your brand colors, the same brand fonts, brand voice, living and breathing your brand basically, and just being consistent with it, because that will build trust, recognition, and when people trust you, they're more inclined to buy from you. Another thing would be professional photography is a must. No selfies, no iPhone photos. Get a professional photo shoot done. And to get that instant connection, especially if you're a service-based provider, above the fold, which is the first thing you see on a website before you have to scroll, have a photo of you there looking at the camera, have that eye contact, because that's instantly going to connect you with your client and again build that trust. Those are the main two things. Another thing would be having testimonials and social proof, so people know that what you're saying does actually work and you have had people who you have helped who are now on the other side. And a good way to get testimonials is to, instead of just asking, hey, can you give me a testimonial, send them a form which has questions about how they felt before working with you, what they were struggling with, what their problems were, and then afterwards, how they now feel after working with you, what the transformation was. And so people can clearly see on your testimonial, hey, I have that problem. And yes, this is the person that can help me with this now. So just giving
Yes.
more detailed testimonials that convert.
Those are great tips. I love all of those. And I think that'll be really helpful for people to get started on building a website. The testimonials really just like are a game changer. They go such a long
Yeah,
way. And yeah, I love that you brought that up.
definitely.
And then can you also share with us, what do you see as far as mistakes with building websites? And is there a specific strategy that you use to fix these kinds of mistakes?
I do see a lot of that, like blurry photos and
Mm.
things, but there are some other ones I see, such as like giving people too much choice on a menu is a big one. You want to keep your menu at the top super simple. So if you're giving someone too much choice, they're going to get confused. They're not going to know where to click, and they are not going to take the time to look through all of the menu items to get to where they want. Another one I see, which is really simple, is underutilizing the footer of the website. So the footer is the very last part of the website, and people often overlook this because maybe they don't know, or maybe they just forget. But the footer is your very last chance to get your audience to stay on your website before they leave. Having your menu on the footer again is a good thing to do. Having a recent blog post or like an email subscription form or your Instagram there, just something that will keep the user engaged and they can go to the next page or something, rather than having nothing there and they have to either scroll back all the way back up to the top or they're just going to leave. Yeah, another one would be people are afraid to put a lot of call to actions and buttons on their website. I think just putting more of them on and making them clear and stand out, and don't be afraid to put more on.
Yeah, those are great. So I think that you've given us some really good tips here. I want to pop back to travel for a moment. And I'm curious now how you found kind of a work-life balance while you were on the road. And maybe let's go to your time in the UK. And you said
Mm-hmm.
you were road tripping around the UK, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you find like a workflow where you could still work on your business and enjoy the travel at the same time?
I'm not going to say it was easy, but once you have
Yeah.
a system going, it definitely helps. Having a routine definitely
Hmm.
helps, even just with like the mental clarity. Luckily for me, with my work, I work on a project with a client, and then once we've built the website, I will hand it off to them, and they only come back to me for small ongoing things. So the big project would take about a month, and then I would be finished with it. That was lucky for me. So during that month, I would stay in one place, have a routine,
Mm-hmm.
work every day. And once that project was finished, then I would focus more on traveling. I know not everyone is in the same boat with that, but I found that definitely helped with me.
Well, I love that you created a lifestyle that works for you. And that's kind of what it's all about, I think, for traveling entrepreneurs. You
Yeah,
figured out a system and a routine where you can do what you do and enjoy your travels. And that's what's important because I think it can be so easy to get caught up in one or the other and not
yeah.
maintain a balance between the two. So that's awesome. And so now you are back in New Zealand, and how's it feeling being back? Do you have any more travel plans around the corner, or are you just feeling good being kind of more grounded in one place for a while?
At the moment, I am loving being home. Just
Mhm.
loving being around family. I've got new nephews and nieces, so
Oh,
just
nice.
soaking up all the family life. And
Yeah.
it's summer here in New Zealand, which is amazing. So maybe
Hmm.
ask me again when it's winter, and
Yeah.
I'll be
Yes.
wanting to go off again.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely have a lot more places on my list I want to go. But for the summer, my main focus is my business and growing that. Travel's definitely not over yet.
Yeah, I like that. It's nice to regroup, and especially since you have some little ones in your family, like you don't get that time back. So that's lovely
Yeah.
that you're getting to spend some time with them. So I'm curious, where is on your list for when you're ready to ditch the bad weather in the winter or whenever that time happens to be? What's at the top of your list right now?
My top would be Canada,
Okay.
Costa Rica,
Yeah.
and Japan and South Korea.
Mm, very cool. Yeah. What part of Canada or what is it about Canada that you're interested in?
Anywhere in the mountains. I
Yeah.
found when I went to Europe, my favorite place was, oh, I actually forgot to mention, one of my favorite places was like the Swiss and Austrian Alps, because
Mm,
we just don't get mountains like that in New Zealand. Like we have nice beaches and things.
hmm.
So yeah, the mountains really amaze me. So that's
Yeah.
the main thing drawing me to Canada.
Yeah, we've got some good ones over there. I've always been a bit more of a beach girl, but my husband loves the mountains and
Same.
he's been getting to me lately, talking a lot about mountains. So I know, yeah, we're
We can have
trying to
both.
find a happy medium there. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the great thing about Canada, even though I haven't lived there in so many years, you can get the beach and the mountain like all kind of in the same
true.
vicinity. So that is a bonus. That's definitely one of the draws there and the nature. And I've never been to New Zealand,
Yeah.
but that is definitely on my list.
Uh,
It sounds so
you should.
beautiful and spiritual. And yeah, I've heard some amazing
Yeah.
stories from friends who grew up there. So,
Yeah, you should definitely
well,
make the trip over.
yeah, definitely. I'm heading back to Bali, yeah, in a couple of months, so I will be
Oh
much
yeah.
closer at that point. So, yeah, hopefully can figure something out from there. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing these tips with us around building your brand and building your website. And it's been really fun to hear a little bit of your travel stories and how you've been able to do all of this over the last few years. It's very inspiring. And I'm sure that my listeners have enjoyed that as well. And I'm
Thank you.
curious, how can we stay in touch with you? We'll share your links in the show notes. What social
Oh,
platforms
yeah.
are you active on? That kind of thing.
I'm mainly active on Instagram, so you can find me at Rise and Design Studio, or you can visit my website, which is riseanddesignstudio.com.
Amazing. So we'll add those in the show notes. And
Thank
Amberley,
you.
thank you so much for your time. It was really
Thanks,
fun getting
Ellie.
to chat with you. And
You
let's stay in
too.
touch and we'll talk to you again soon.
Cool, sounds good.
That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining me. And until next time, let's stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Ali Temple Yoga. Join us in the Traveling Wellnesspreneurs Facebook group. And if you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. See you next time.